Did you know that Blake Masters could launch an Arizona Senate bid to challenge Kyrsten Sinema? Masters previously ran for Senate in 2022. Did you know that Canada is installing security measures along the US-Canada border in response to the Freedom Convoy protests from last year? Measures include speed bumps, closed-circuit television upgrades, building access controls, and improved lighting. Did you know that Italy could move closer to nuclear energy? Transport Minister and Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini announced a goal of speeding up nuclear-derived energy production. Italy previously shut down nuclear power plants in response to a 1987 referendum, but the referendum did not ban nuclear energy. Did you know that the EU saw attempts to cross at the Belarus-EU borders increase by 62% compared to 2022? Did you know that Austria plans to outsource applications for asylum procedures to African countries? The goal is to prevent migrants from being able to go hiding in the EU or apply for asylum in several European countries at the same time. However, the plan could see legal setbacks. Did you know that James Comer subpoenaed Department of Homeland Security and Secret Service officials as part of the Hunter Biden investigation? This will involve the handover of records and closed-door testimonies. Did you know that the EU will contact Belgium to inquire about Belgium's move to refuse single-male asylum seekers? Belgium has justified the move, saying that its goal is to prioritize families with children due to a lack of reception centers. Did you know that the Netherlands began enforcing export controls restrictions on advanced microchips production machines to China? This is part of a deal between the US, the Netherlands, and Japan with the goal of impeding China's military advancement involving semiconductors. Did you know that Mitch McConnell stressed for additional Ukraine aid? McConnell suggested that the aid could come in a potential continuing resolution that could be passed this month. Did you know that Mitch McConnell was targeted by Fox News host Laura Ingraham following his second freeze? Ingraham said that McConnell is no longer capable of working full-time and that the Republican conference should have told him to retire. Did you know that Slovenia plans to impose a tax on bank assets to help finance the reconstruction following floods in August? The tax would be levied on 0.2% of the bank's total assets for 5 years. The government expects to collect around €100 million annually. Did you know that Canada has subsidized over 43,000 electric vehicle chargers since 2016? However, less than 20% of them are actually operational. Did you know that Belgium will no longer provide shelter for single men seeking asylum so as to prioritize families, women and children? According to the EU Agency for Asylum, male applicants last year accounted for 71% of asylum claims. Did you know that Sweden will open up an inquiry into immigration? It will examine whether it should be possible to use DNA analysis in internal immigration controls and in residence permit cases. It will also examine whether the limitation period for deportation decisions, which is currently 4 years, should be abolished or extended. Return bans will also be examined. Did you know that France will release €4 billion in subsidies to develop low-carbon hydrogen projects? The goal is to support projects with a total capacity of 1 gigawatt or 140,000 tons of production per year and lessen EU dependence on Russian energy. The first electrolyzer is expected in 2026. Did you know that Mike Rounds said that he does not know if Donald Trump could defeat Joe Biden? Rounds said that the GOP needs a uniter and said Tim Scott can unite the nation. Did you know that China conducted a digital influence operation across more than 50 social media and online platforms? A report by Meta showed that the operation garnered over 550,000 followers by promoting misinformation about topics including the United States' alleged role in creating the COVID-19 pandemic and criticizing Washington's support of Taiwan. Did you know that Nikki Haley was perceived to have performed well at the RNC debate? A Morning Consult poll found that 64% believed Haley performed very or somewhat well. Did you know that Nikki Haley once again advocated for term limits and mental competency tests for politicians over the age of 75? She pointed to Mitch McConnell, Dianne Feinstein, and Nancy Pelosi as relevant examples for her claim. Did you know that Russia voted against and thereby prevented the extension of UN sanctions and independent monitoring on Mali? This follows reports from independent UN sanctions monitors showing that Wagner engages in human rights abuses in the region. Did you know that President Biden announced that federal civilian workers will receive a pay raise of 5.2%? Did you know that Vivek Ramaswamy doubled down on voting for Donald Trump even if Trump is convicted? Ramaswamy said that Trump is being targeted with politicized persecutions carried out by an administrative police state. Did you know that Vivek Ramaswamy had a good showing at the RNC debate? A Morning Consult poll showed that 72% of potential Republican primary voters said Ramaswamy performed very or somewhat well. Did you know that the Biden administration will be sending armor-piercing munitions containing depleted uranium to Ukraine? This could help destroy Russian tanks and will be part of a coming aid package. Did you know that Joe Biden's handling of inflation is not popular? A Wall Street Journal poll found that 63% disapprove of how the president has handled inflation and rising costs while 34% approve. Did you know that Vivek Ramaswamy opened about policy differences between himself and Donald Trump? Ramaswamy said that he would end affirmative action, militarize the southern border instead of just building the wall, and shut down the Department of Education rather than appointing someone to the department. Did you know that Russia has been enabling irregular migration into the EU? Russia organizes flights from the Middle East to Moscow, enabling migrants to cross Belarus and then into EU nations, such as Poland, Lithuania, and Latvia. Did you know that Donald Trump said he would prosecute his political enemies if he is re-elected? Trump said that he would have no choice, saying he and his allies are suffering a similar fate. Did you know that the Biden administration is partnering with environmental and conservation advocacy groups to advance conservation? This will use $28 million and involve restoring western watersheds, conserving habitat for the mule deer and sage grouse, and assisting a Navajo Native plant program. Did you know that the Biden administration is putting $100 million towards nurse recruitment? Nearly $65 million will go towards schools and training programs, while $35 million will help licensed practical nurses become registered nurses and help nursing programs expand their faculty. Did you know that Donald Trump leads a GOP primary poll by the Wall Street Journal with 59% support? DeSantis followed with 13%. Nikki Haley trailed with 8%. Did you know that Donald Trump will not be barred from Arizona's ballot in 2024? This follows calls to bar Trump from running for allegedly violating the 14th Amendment. However, Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes said that barring Trump from the Arizona ballot would violate a previous Arizona Supreme Court ruling. Did you know that Donald Trump is believed by most GOP voters to be politically targeted? A Wall Street Journal poll found that 60% of GOP primary voters believe that all of the cases surrounding Trump's indictments are meritless and politically motivated. Did you know that Nikki Haley leads Joe Biden in a head-to-head matchup poll by CNN and SSRS? Haley garnered 49% support compared to Biden's 43%. Did you know that Donald Trump leads a New Hampshire GOP primary poll by NMB Research? Trump garnered 47% support. Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis followed with 10% each. Did you know that Donald Trump has the largest base to draw from in the GOP primary? A CNN poll found that 81% of Republican primary voters said they would support or consider supporting Trump. DeSantis followed with 78%. Tim Scott and Nikki Haley trailed with 63% each. Did you know that Kevin McCarthy said that the impeachment inquiry would have to be imposed via majority vote rather than a declaration by one person? McCarthy said that House Republicans would not take it lightly or use it for political purposes. Did you know that Donald Trump leads in an Atlanta Journal-Constitution poll with 57% support from likely GOP primary voters in Georgia? DeSantis followed with 15%. Mike Pence trailed with 4%. Did you know that Michael McCall previously said that Vivek Ramaswamy's Ukraine war plans would be a surrender to Russian aggression? Ramaswamy previously said he would accept Russia's control of the territories its forces have taken and pledged to stop Ukraine from joining NATO in exchange for Russia ending its military alliance with China. Did you know that Vivek Ramaswamy argued against the idea that Donald Trump encouraged the Capitol riot? Ramaswamy said that Trump encouraged peaceful protest but also said that he disagreed with much of what Trump did that day. Did you know that Mike Pence said he would rescind any executive actions taken by the Biden administration to promote abortion? In his Day 1 executive action plan, Pence also said he would disband the White House's Reproductive Rights Task Force established under Biden. Did you know that the U.S. government previously announced a $250 million security package for Ukraine? This includes AIM-9M air defense missiles and munitions for high-mobility artillery rocket systems as well as 155mm and 105mm artillery ammunition, mine-clearing equipment, Javelin rockets and more than 3 million rounds of small arms ammunition.